Now, after that, we have completed plan scope management as part of the planning process group. Now we'll move into the collect requirements process. Just to remind ourselves on the key inputs and outputs that we have looked into the plan scope management. We have seen also the tools and the key outputs, and we also had a practical example on the key steps that you need to follow to ensure having an effective scope management plan. Now we'll move into the next process, which is collecting the requirements as part also of the knowledge area of the scope management. In this video, let's say let's say you can consider it as one of the introductions to the process of collecting requirements. A critical activity, you can consider it as one of the critical activities, project planning. So understanding what is needed from the project ensures the alignment with the stakeholder expectation and lays the foundation for successful project execution. But what exactly is requirement collection or requirement gathering? Requirements collection is a process of identifying and documenting what the stakeholder needs from the project. And these requirements provides the foundation for defining the project scope and ensuring the deliverables meet the expectations. What exactly is the key inputs involved and tools and techniques and outputs that we are gonna discover in more depth in the next session and also in this session. So to summarize the key inputs here that you might deal when starting to collect the requirements, you have the project charter where you have the high level requirements, you have the project management plan where you have defined the scope and the other subsidiary 14 plans and scope baselines. Also, you have the project documents, the business documents such as the business case, agreements, and EFs, OPAs. So these are the key inputs that you might refer to when collecting the requirements. The tools and techniques that you need to use when collecting the requirements, since it's a very critical step that you need to ensure that you are doing it accurately. So you need to look at the tools like the expert judgment, data gathering, let's say data analysis, decision making, also some data presentation to understand, to break down the ideas. Also, some of these interpersonal and team skills, including the active listening, context diagram, prototypes will have a look in each of these tools, and will the outputs would be for this key process is the requirements documentation, which serves as the key bone for defining the scope. Also, the requirement traceability matrix, which includes and assign each of the requirements to the stakeholder with its urgency reference. You can think as requirement traceability matrix to understand who requested what. So, what exactly is the importance of requirements collection? By thoroughly collecting and documenting requirements, the project team ensures the alignment with the objectives and minimizes risks such as the scope creep or costly rework. This process also enhances the stakeholder satisfaction by addressing their needs and concerns. Again, let's have just an overview on the key ITTOs and and the requirements collection. So we say the inputs including the project charter, which provides a high level of the project objectives, the stakeholder register, where you have identified all of these, let's say, stakeholders when you initiated the project. So you identify the key stakeholders and their interest and impact by the project. Also, we say the business documents, and, including the business context and the justification for purchasing or taking the project. So the inputs for collecting requirements include all of these, inputs. which identifies the keys also, let's say, players or requesters or stakeholders to provide a rational and, and context of the project need. So that the key ITTOs and requirement collections. We say that data gathering techniques like interviews and surveys, the facilitation technique for collaborative session you might use, also the context diagrams to understand the workflows. So tools like interviews, focus groups, surveys help to gather a detailed requirements. Facilitation technique encourages a collaborative discussion while context diagrams provide a visual understanding of the workflows and interdependencies. The key outputs for the requirements collection process here. You think of the requirements documentation and the requirement traceability matrix. So the outputs include the requirements documentation, which is list or it lists all of the collected needs, and the requirement traceability matrix, which ensures that each requirement aligns with the project objectives. And who's the owner of that requirement? What are the common challenges that you might face as a project manager in the requirements collection? So, challenges like unclear stakeholder inputs or conflicting requirements or evolving needs can complicate the collection process. Addressing these issues requires structured approaches and effective communication. Now, let's have a look at the role of stakeholders' engagement in requirements collection. So, as we highlighted before many times, engaging the stakeholder early and throughout the requirements collection, or throughout the let's say the planning phase, ensures that their needs are accurately captured and updated and reduces the risk of misalignment as the project progresses. Here are the key tips for effective requirements collection. So, employing a variety of data collection techniques, and verifying the requirements with the stakeholders and maintaining a clear documentation, you can consider them are essential for effective requirements collection. So, to summarize, the key tips here is we say that to use multiple techniques, gather the data, to analyze the data, use different, techniques to simplify these technical jargon to the non-technical stakeholders to use the context diagrams to visualize the workflow, for example. Also ensure capturing all of the requirements, use utilizing different let's say techniques such as surveys or interviews or focus groups, from different stakeholders to ensure that you have a comprehensive plan and comprehensive requirements. You need also to ensure that you have a well-defined, say, a requirements documentation and requirements traceability matrix, and ensure that they are clear and organized. To summarize our session about collecting the requirements or the overview of collecting the requirements, we say that requirements collection is a structured process that defines and document the stakeholder need using inputs like the project charter and tools such as the interviews and surveys, context diagrams. Effective collection ensures the alignment and reduces the risks and increasing the likelihood of project success.